On the official Pokemon Go circuit, winning a regional championship is a difficult challenge for even the best players in the world. Despite this challenge, a small handful of players have been able to win multiple championships across their career, but very few have shown a streak of dominance so strong that they've won back-to-back championships. In 2025, Ilum won Toronto and Atlanta back-to-back. Later that season, Itzaxon won Portland and then NAIC a month later. In 2026, Inadequence won both Frankfurt and Stuttgart, both with his signature Shadow Giratina. But one of the first ever back-to-back champions was Jakobovich, an Australian battler who, after winning OCIC in 2023, was able to win both Brisbane and Melbourne. But now, in 2026, Australia has just crowned their second back-to-back champion. Jumothy is a Sydney-based trainer, and after playing a bit more casually in 2024, he made a real splash in the 2025 season. 5th place in Perth, 7th place in Brisbane, and 9th place in Melbourne, as well as a 49th place in NAIC and 65th at Worlds. As someone that has to play Jumothy all the time at locals, I can tell you that he's been on an insane upward trajectory, and he was out to prove it at the 2026 Brisbane Regional Championship where he placed 3rd, picking up his first ever medal and a ton of championship points. Apparently, that wasn't good enough. Enter the Auckland Special Championship, the first ever Pokemon Go major in New Zealand, and Jumothy's next tournament. But how do you build a champion team? Well, lucky for us, Jumothy has provided a ton of notes on how it all fits together. Auckland was held in the second weekend of competitions in the Precious Paths meta. Empoleon and Altaria were both going to be really strong into this meta, alongside familiar favourites of Furret and Stunfisk. So when it came to building his team, Jumothy's first thought was, how can I beat all 4 of these Pokemon? And the answer came in Shadow Annihilape. Its Altaria matchup isn't the cleanest, but it still definitely has win cons there. But what makes Annihilape even stronger is the fact that high Furret usage has almost entirely pushed Galarian Corsola out of the meta, removing one of Annihilape's biggest counters. Annihilape still has some tough matchups though, especially into the Ghosts, Flyers, and Fairies. And in the words of Jumothy, Ape without support will feel underpowered. That's where Licky Licky comes into the picture. With Rollout, it can bodyguard against most of the dominant Flyers, and its normal typing means that Ghosts aren't that major a threat either. It also carries a lot of bulk that Annihilape lacks, letting you eat a lot of your opponent's energy while they have to deal with your Annihilapes. These two Pokemon become a niche core that Jumothy could really rely on, but it's still lacking some coverage for the Fairies. Adding Empoleon to the team gives it some Steel-type coverage and also some unmatched pressure into the wider meta with both Hydro Cannon and Drill Peck. But in this meta, if you're bringing Empoleon, you might instantly want to lean into that Altaria pick to complete the dynamic duo of the season, but there is room for pause here. Altaria would just add another fairy weakness to the team, and with Annihilape already on the squad, it might make it a little bit tricky to run both. But here's the thing, before Toronto, Florges seemed to be the #1 fairy of choice, and funnily enough, it isn't actually that bad a matchup for Altaria because it usually isn't running a fairy charge stack, so with a bit more confidence, Altaria joined the team too. To cover Stunfisk and give some extra ground support against Empoleon, Jum knew that he had to bring a Mud Slapper. Apparently, he wasn't that attracted to Toedscruel, so it was a choice between Gastrodon and Shadow Marowak. Initially, he did like Gastrodon, but with so much Altaria running around, the Rock Slide coverage really came in handy for Marowak, so it became Pokemon number 5. And with this team of 5, Jum had some flexibility in slot number 6. He felt a little bit soft into Galarian Moltres as well as opposing Furrets, and so he decided he wanted a fairy type, and Wigglytuff was going to be it. Despite it sometimes being a little bit alignment-y, it filled his matchup spread really well. This team had 3 Pokemon that were particularly tough to deal with: Azumarill, Jellicent, and other Marowaks. Azumarill and Jellicent rarely ended up on the same team because they hold a similar role, but after Toronto it was clear that Azumarill usage was on the rise. It kind of soft wins against everything on this team except for Empoleon, and so Jum tinkered around with some alternative flex slots. Florges came in for a while in place of Wigglytuff, with Trailblaze access doing really nice into all 3 of these Pokemon, but losing the Altaria matchup just felt too bad for him, and so Wigglytuff just came straight back. The question you have to ask when you're building a team for the Championship Series, and this is an important one, is a weakness a bad thing? Jum played in a ton of practice tournaments, trying to understand what his opponents like to bring, how often Annihilape was the GOAT, fine-tuning when you should play aggressive with Ape and Wiggly, or play defensive with Licky and Altaria. And through this practice, he realized that even if he was weak to Azumarill, Azumarill doesn't have that speed or power to actually sweep teams, and so it wasn't actually that bad of a weakness. Jellicent was going to be a little bit tougher if it showed up, and Marowak was going to be even more difficult, but it could still be hard checked by Wiggly and Altaria, and he also realized that Scizor could actually tear through his team a bit as well if he wasn't careful, but on the whole, he was pretty happy with his squad, and he knew how to deal with his weaknesses if they came up. He said it isn't the most flexible team, which is certainly true. I mean, we've got a Shadow Annihilape and Wigglytuff on the squad, plus a, Shadow Kanto Marowak, which is also can be a little bit alignment-y, but Licky Licky for him acted like the glue that could really provide a lot of neutral play across the board. But with that said, we have a team, let's get into the tournament, Auckland Special Championships. If you watched my video covering my top 8 run through Auckland, you'll know that this tournament was on the smaller size, and Jumothy, after his hot results in 2025, going into his 3rd place at Brisbane, he entered this tournament as the #1 seed. Because of this, Jumothy was able to get a bye straight into winners round 2, where he was able to defeat 2 Poke Your Will 2-0. Unfortunately, we don't have the battles for this particular round, but we do for the very next one, so we'll get straight into the top 12, where he took on Clunk NZ. Clunk, as you may remember from my video, is running the Unova Stunfisk, Credilli, Empoleon, Shadow Altaria, Azumarill, and the Shadow Annihilate. So obviously Azumarill is one of those threatening Pokemon from before, and so let's get into the battles and see how Jumothy deals with this problem Pokemon. Game 1 of winners round 3, and we have the Empoleon into the Shadow Altaria, which is not a good matchup for Jumothy because this is one of El Shadow Altaria's one few benefits in that it does win the one shield scenario against Empoleon, straight flamethrower, no baits required. And so it's going to be up to Jumothy to decide whether he wants to play this out, lose the matchup and go into the back line, or if he wants to burn some extra shieldage, maybe go to the 2 shield scenario to actually win this matchup out. And because he has the Annihilate and the Wigglytuff in the back, I really don't think that he wants to lose alignment here, so he is going to burn that second shield and give Clunk a shield advantage, and hopefully that isn't too bad for him in the late game. Because he's going for alignment here, he does have some high potential to really hard dominate the back matchups, and here comes the Empoleon. The tricky thing here is that Annihilate, obviously great into Empoleon, Wigglytuff not so great, and so it's nice that we have alignment, but it does give Clunk the opportunity to get a little bit of energy on his own Empoleon, which hopefully isn't too scary because he does have to burn it here before Jumothy throws another move, and so now Annihilate able to come in, scare off Clunk to swap into his Azumarill, and now Wigglytuff coming in here. This isn't like a hard counter scenario. There's definitely like, you'd prefer to be up against an Annihilate or an Altaria here as a Wigglytuff, but it's not that bad. Azumarill is sort of okay because you're still able to put a fair chunk of damage on it, but after this Swift, that switch timer is almost back up, and so you might have to watch out for an Empoleon snipe coming from the other side. Actually going for the charge attack from the Azumarill, and now it's getting to a really close endgame where there is an Annihilate here. This will not KO the Annihilate, it will barely hang on, but we still get probably 2 counters of damage, 1 counter even onto this Empoleon. Doesn't throw the Rage Fist because there is still a shield on Clunk's side. The Wigglytuff comes in, it's not close to a move, and that's actually a tie in game number 1. Okay, that's actually kind of wild. So I guess we're heading into a fresh game 1 reset, and this time we have Empoleon into Empoleon, but Jumothy is still bringing those alignment-based Pokemon of Annihilate and Wigglytuff in the back. So we'll see which one of these trainers wants to win switch advantage here, which one wants to win the lead. Obviously, if one Empoleon wins charge attack priority over the other, that might be a big factor. The other big factor is if one trainer decides to burn more shields than the opponent, guaranteeing the win here. So Jumothy is just gonna, looks like he's gonna let this Hydro Cannon go, bring him down really low, and so, for example, if Clunk wants to win this lead scenario, he can burn a shield here and pretty much just guarantee that he's gonna win. But Jumothy makes a different play. He's actually gonna swap into the Shadow Annihilate, and I don't mind this play, and here's why. Altaria comes in, but this is one of Jumothy's win conditions into the Altaria, where if you get a little bit of extra energy on the Annihilate, you can get up to both a Rage Fist and an Ice Punch in the one shield scenario, and so if you can land an Ice Punch, that is going to be huge for this matchup. And so now, look, Clunk knows this is going to be an Ice Punch. He sort of just has to shield if he wants to keep his Altaria around. And now Jumothy has the shield advantage, swapping straight into the Wigglytuff and hoping that he's got a good matchup in the back. It is going to be that Azumarill, so this isn't a bad matchup, but he needs to figure out how he's going to keep enough gas in the tank to take out the Altaria in the back and deal with Azumarill, because while you may have the shield here ready to go, and it's not taking a lot of damage from Azumarill, you still need something to throw into that Altaria in the back, and so he's going to go up to the move, he's going to bank that Icy Wind, which is going to be pretty nice if he can get it off, but this is going to be really tough to deal with an Azumarill. Maybe Annihilate could get to a Rage Fist here, it's 6 away I think, but actually he's going to come back in with Wigglytuff, he's going to throw the Swift hoping to weaken it down. I don't think it's enough to KO, and all of a sudden it's in a really tough spot where Azumarill was about to get to a move. He had to just throw something to make sure it goes down, and now this is going to be really, really tight to finish off this Altaria in the back. He's trying to get to a Rage Fist on Annihilate. He can't do it. The Wigglytuff comes in, and 1 charm is actually enough. Jumothy squeaks out game number 2, 1, whatever you want to call it, in really tight fashion to keep this to now to a 1-0 series. So we now head into game 2 or 3, however you want to call it, and we have the Wigglytuff into the Stunfisk. Jumothy running that same 3 back, this time just moving that Wigglytuff into the lead spot. Now, Stunfisk this isn't like a bad matchup for Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff's Icy Wind puts so much threatening damage onto this ground electric type Stunfisk, and so if you're Clunk, you're kind of like, oh, I don't really want to lose this lead, so he does decide to burn that shield. But if you're Jumothy, you could actually take this on the chin if you really wanted to, but you really have to make a call. Do I want to keep this Wigglytuff alive, or do I want to just let it go and bring in one of my Pokemon in the back? Annihilate and Empoleon both sort of a lot better if they sort of ramp up with a little bit of energy, and so ramping up is exactly what Jumothy is getting ready to do. He's got a Rage Fist sort sort of ready to go now. That Stun Fisk is just counter fodder at the moment. He's almost at 2 Rage Fists now with a shield advantage as well. Jumothy in a very strong position here. The Azumarill swaps in, but this will lose to the Annihilate. And so the question becomes, is my Empoleon in the back going to be beneficial to me? Do I want that on its own, or do I need this Annihilate a little bit later? And do I need to swap into Empoleon at some point? He does make the swap to try and catch a move from that Azumarill. Doesn't work out this time, so that Azumarill is in the back with energy. And so now the Empoleon mirror match is going to return, but Jumothy has the shield advantage. If you're Jumothy, you are so happy about what's going on right now because you've basically got 2 Pokemon to face. One of them is a low-ish health, half health Azumarill with a bit of energy, and you're up against this Empoleon as well, where you've got a shield advantage. So he's got a lot of energy on that Empoleon now, swaps into his Annihilate, but at this point, you've got so much energy on Empoleon that you're looking really good. The Azumarill swaps in is going to have to eat a Rage Fist, which is almost enough to KO it, I think, at this point, but does burn that last Protect Shield. He's not able to get to another one, but Empoleon has got so much energy. He's able to throw 1 Drill Peck to take out this Azumarill, and then that Empoleon is going to come back in from Clunk NZ, but there is another move ready to go, and Jumothy has closed this one out. It's sort of 2-0, but 2-0 and a tie. Really, really interesting games in round number 3 from Jumothy. The good news for Jumothy is now he's into the top 6 of this tournament after only 2 wins and a bye, but now, unfortunately, I have some bad news, and that is that his battles against Yusei in the top 6, the footage is gone. The upside of these tournaments being played on your own phones is that we get all of the footage. The bad news is if the player deletes the footage so he has enough storage for the later battle footage, then we don't have the footage. So his battles against Yusei is gone, which means he's into the winners finals, top 3 of this tournament, up against Golden 1001, a future regional champion up against the Brisbane regional champion. And the bad news continues because we don't have those battles either. But I promise we have the next one because Jumothy was able to defeat Golden 1001 and push himself all the way into the grand finals. Godzilla, who was making a killer run through the losers bracket, was able to defeat Golden 1001 and get all the way to the grand finals. Top 2, Godzilla, the Brisbane Regional Championship from last year. So Jumothy really has a bone to pick with these Brisbane guys. I guess especially after coming 3rd at Brisbane last year. Or this year, sorry. It was in 2025 calendar year, but it was in the 2020 season, so it was kind of last year this year. Anyway, we are now up against Godzilla in the grand finals of Auckland. We've got the Charger Bug, Licky, Shadow Scizor, Shadow Altaria, Azumarill, and the Shadow Marowak. This is a lot of Jumothy's fears all in one team. The Azumarill is there, the Marowak is there, and that Shadow Scizor can tear through himself as well. So look, he has a lot to be scared of in this matchup, and we're going to have to see how he did it. Game number 1 of this best of 5 grand finals, and Jumothy is starting off pretty rough here because a Marowak into an Azumarill is not where you want to be at all, and we're going to swap into that Licky, and as he said, this is the glue of the team, but unfortunately this glue is prone to getting out-glued because that Shadow Ball is getting caught onto the opposing normal type Licky, and Godzilla has essentially just neutralized a lot of the energy that Jumothy got, and essentially in some ways given his Azumarill free energy in the back. Now it's going to be a body slam off, but this is what Licky does best, in that it soaks up energy, it absorbs energy, and then lets you pivot and sort of move energy around in the game. Unfortunately for Jumothy, now that the Marowak is back in, he's trying to get some energy here, but we're not going to really be able to eat a second move from this Licky, and so the Bone Club is going to get it really close to low, but at this point, Marowak would need to shield to get that Bone Club down, but he knows if he keeps Marowak around, they're just going to get Azumarill bubble down later on, so we may as well let it go, get some energy on Empoleon, and now has to deal with this Azumarill, which is still not like a great matchup for the Empoleon, to be honest with you. This Azumarill really is going to be a little bit tricky for Godzilla to deal with, especially after losing all that energy earlier. Player Fs are starting to add up, and now we're going to throw this Drill Peck into the Azumarill, not enough to KO at this point, not even close, to be honest. And so now, I think if you're Jumothy, you have to hope that you can catch a move into your Licky in the back, I guess, and then keep some energy. There's the double swap, though. Gonna eat all of this energy. Godzilla is making some amazing catches here. Knows that he was about to swap, eats that energy into the Shadow Marowak. Gonna throw another body slam from Jumothy, but this is looking really bad for him at this point. Like, there's just not much he can do. There's still 2 shields, now 1 shield on Godzilla's side as well, and at this point, Marowak can mud slap this guy all the way down. Actually gonna eat that one and then just mud slap down the Empoleon, and it's GG's. That's game 1 to Godzilla. So we need to make a swap going to game number 2. We can't just run the same thing back, or unless we want to run alignment, I suppose. That's always possible. So game number 2, we're going to go Altaria, is still into Azumarill, which is still not a good spot for Jumothy at all. He needs to deal with this Azumarill somehow, and so he's going to have to figure out something. He goes straight for this Sky Attack here before that Azumarill gets its own move off, which is really nice. Puts some damage on, because you don't really have a lot of things to damage it with, and so again, Jumothy trying to make a catch onto his Licky, but it's just not working. Godzilla, going to swap into that Marowak, kind of like Jumothy did in that last game, and is sort of hoping that he can sort of out damage. Like if he can put a Shadow Ball onto this Marowak and then a Body Slam, that is going to be enough to KO that Marowak, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't get taken down by Marowak first. So here goes the Shadow Ball, no shield from Godzilla, which is really nice because this Body Slam will be enough to KO if it does land. So Godzilla deciding that no, I like the alignment from before, gonna Mud Slap all the way down, and so now Jumothy has a 2 shield advantage, swaps into the Empoleon, successfully catching this time, and with 2 shields, maybe this Empoleon can actually get something done. What he needs is a lot of energy, because he has to not only take out this Azumarill, he needs to take out that little bit of Marowak in the back as well, which you might not want to take the Mud Slaps, so maybe you want a move bank for this one. So he's gone up to 2 moves, so he has one ready to go. Throws this into the Azumarill, not enough to KO at this point, but he still has 2 shields. There's the swap into the Marowak, and so this, I don't know if this is good or bad for Godzilla, because Jumothy definitely wanted to put his energy there anyway. Maybe Altaria would be useful in that spot a little bit later, but now the Scizor is coming in, and there are still no shields on Godzillama's side, which means a full Hydro Cannon into that Scizor. Altaria are going to be able to Dragon Breath this guy down. There are still 2 shields. There is nothing Godzilla can do, and Jumothy going to clean this one up with a Sky Attack. Really nicely played, and forcing those shields out of Godzilla, so we go 1-1 into Game 3. Game 3, and we've got another lead change, and it's still bad for Jumothy. Wigglytuff into a Scizor. We have the Licky and the Empoleon in the back. Both of them are not like awesome into Scizor, but maybe we can get something done. And so no boost on that first Night Slash. Godzilla swapping out into the Marowak, I think it was. Gonna eat this Shadow Ball, and so now Licky again in the same spot where Shadow Ball plus the Body Slam with these rollout damage is gonna be enough to take it out, but we need that rollout damage first. And so unfortunately Marowak is gonna be able to take this guy out. There are still 2 shields in play, and now Jumothy's throwing his Wigglytuff out there, which means that Scizor is instantly going to come out. Well, I guess not instantly. We're going to wait 2 10-second charge tags just to get some extra damage on here. But now it is up to Empoleon to try and clean this battle out. This Scizor is going to be really tough to deal with alone, but there is still another Pokemon for Godzilla in the back. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be that Licky, because Godzilla seems to like that gluey Pokemon as well. And so it's looking pretty dire because this Scizor is also getting to moves at the same pacing as the Empoleon. There's the Night Slash, and there's the boost. Not that, like, I know the Bullet Punch isn't doing a lot of damage in this matchup, but every single bit of damage is really bad for Jumothy in this matchup. And so at this point, one Night Slash is going to absolutely crush this Empoleon, Bullet Punch down this Wigglytuff, and Jumothy down 1-2 in the grand finals. Now, because Jumothy's coming from the winner's side of the bracket, Godzilla from the losers, Godzilla needs to win this best of 5 set and the next best of 5 set, whereas Jumothy, he only needs to win 1. And so if Godzilla wins this game, he will progress onto that next bracket reset, whereas Jumothy needs to win the next 2 in a row to make it a clean win. Altaria into Charge Bug, and this is probably pretty good for Jumothy. Not only, Sky Attack is fine, it's neutral because of the electric typing, but Flamethrower does a lot of super effective damage, and Godzilla has to make the call, but he calls wrong. The Flamethrower landing into that Charge Bug, and now Altaria has won this matchup for sure. Discharge is neutral, but it doesn't do that much damage on the whole. Altaria is going to be able to take another one on the chin for sure and just Dragon Breath down, and he has won the lead matchup with a little bit of energy in tow as well. Now Godzilla brings in that sponge of Azumarill. I guess he's always going to have one sponge, whether it's the Azumarill or the Licky. This time he's gone for that Azumarill. The Sky Attack going to just add a little bit of extra damage because Jumothy just happens to get to 1 extra. Unfortunately, Bubble's not doing very much. Gonna hard pivot into that Marowak, into the Empoleon, which just lets Jumothy get this Licky out here, which has a much better time. So alignment very much going Jumothy's way on this one. One Body Slam from here from Licky won't be enough to KO, but he's going to shield up anyway because he knows that he wants this Licky to survive. He doesn't want to get Mud Slapped down. This energy is going to be really important. And a no shield from Godzilla, meaning he still has 2 shields in play, swapping into that Azumarill. Now Azumarill isn't, again, this isn't a good matchup for Godzilla. Azumarill is going to have to throw a lot of charge attacks to actually get this Empoleon down. One more, I think Empoleon is still going to survive, but those 2 shields are really going to be a problem for Jumothy because that Marowak, he's not going to use his shields on the Azumarill. He's going to throw some energy here. Marowak is going to be able to Mud Slap down this Empoleon comfortably, and so now it's going to be a case of can this Licky get enough charge attacks off? Jumothy is not up to 2 charge attacks. I think this Mud Slap probably KOs anyway. He gets 1 shield. Here comes the Body Slam on charge attack priority. That'll get a 2nd shield. He needs 1 rollout and then a Body Slam to KO this Marowak. But this Marowak got a lot of energy before. There's the Body Slam. There's the shield. Then we get a charge attack. If this Marowak KOs the Licky on this charge attack, it is game over onto bracket reset, but Licky hangs on. The Body Slam going to be enough to KO this Marowak, barely pushing Jumothy into a 2-2 tied grand finals, and now 1 game away from being the Auckland champion. potentially the final game of the tournament. Empoleon into Azumarill. This is a good start for Jumothy. He's gotten a lot of bad leads in this set, but he can come back. And he's actually running the Marowak and Altaria in the back, meaning he's running ABB weak to Azumarill. If Azumarill showed up in the back line, it would be really tough for Jumothy. So he is so happy to be seeing this Azumarill right now because he wants to deal with it while he can comfortably. Going to throw as much energy as he can into this Azumarill. He needs to win this lead spot. I guess Azumarill is now low enough that Marowak could probably Mud Slap all the way down, but happily taking Azumarill out. Godzilla holding onto shields again. Here comes the Marowak, and he's going to hard pivot into that Altaria and then catch the energy onto that Licky. I like this play from Godzilla because, Dragon Breath isn't adding that much damage to that Marowak in the back, and so he just sort of comfortably gets to generate some energy that might help him later on. Probably going to hold on to his shields as well. He's actually run the double tank on this one, but this is still a pretty decent spot for Jumothy because, again, he's going to... actually swaps into the Empoleon here. He knows that it's not going to be that good against that Marowak in the back, especially because he still has 2 shields in tow. Takes it out. Mud Slap. He's not going to get much more energy here. And now, Godzilla has a Shadow Marowak against Jumothy's Shadow Marowak. They both have shields. Jumothy's is so much more healthy though, which means that he's going to Mud Slap. He's even going to no shield this Mud Slap from Godzilla. And one final Mud Slap, and Jumothy clears this out 3-2 in the grand finals and becomes the Auckland Special Champion. I know we didn't get to watch a lot of his battles today, but it's still truly an impressive effort from Jumothy to sort of go. He didn't lose a single match in this tournament. He won against a lot of really strong battlers, including a Brisbane champion Godzilla himself, but this wasn't the end of the line for Jumothy, because literally 2 weeks later, the Sydney Regional Championships are on, and after umming and ahhing about changing his team, he decided to just run it straight back into Sydney. And Sydney went well. After 2-0 Kirk, he was able to get a tight 2-1 victory over M. Tangy after building her team in one of the most anticipated matchups of the entire tournament. He then went on for a 2-0 against Yoshi Joshi, 2-0 against Fortois, 2-0 against Avrip, and a 3-1 victory over They Love Jai in the winners finals. Jai wasn't done though, because after winning the losers finals, he came back and reset the bracket 3-1, bringing it all down to a final best of 5. I'll play you that final set now, but if you want to watch any of these battles, a lot of them will featured in the Sydney regional broadcast, which you can find on this YouTube channel as well, and I do recommend you give that a watch because the commentators did a great job. With that said, let's watch the grand finals reset, Jumothy versus They Love Jai for the Sydney Regional Championship.
Each other now. Was it 8 battles in total? So yeah. Let's see how they go. They're going to jump straight into it. We are straight in.
Oh, and so I think that was the Corsola into the Wigglytuff on Jai's side. So now Jai is the beneficiary of a really, really bad lead matchup.
Exactly right. And this battle is jumping straight in. No time to even reflect on the last set. Straight into it. Let's go for it. Wigglytuff is charming away. Going to throw the Icy Wind to look to debuff this and then potentially look at maybe a switch out.
Yeah, so this is a fairly even matchup just on paper, but we, as you've described before, just the slightest energy lead or the HP difference can flip things. The Body Slam will come through. Obviously, you don't want to throw Shadow Balls into this normal type, so Body Slam is definitely the play here, but it is Icy Winded Body Slam damage, so you still need 2 more to be able to KO the Wigglytuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Swift coming through there, CMP tie one there, so has come through, and Jumothy is staying in here knowing that he does have the Licky for the Corsola, so all this charm damage is all just bonus now. He knows he's got a really solid matchup in the back. The Altaria will come in and almost very much wall this Gastrodon. The Body Slams don't do a whole lot of damage. Yeah. But this is a really favourable spot. Instantly switch, and then will come and be countered by the Licky. So really favourable spot. News. Yeah, that's the really bad news. This is a really tough position, and Shadow Balls will come through faster than these Power Gems will, and they'll also significantly more damage, being super effective.
Yeah, so alignment, once again, becoming just such a huge factor, more than it's been in this entire rest of the tournament. So the ABA normal strategy working really, really well for Jumothy in this particular battle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the freedom that Wiggly has with only the one hard check for Fortress. It's really hard to bring when you have the Annihilate and Licky and things that do pressure that.
Yeah, and so Jai has put the Q in the rack, is not going to try, maybe he is going to keep trying and is just going to try. No, looks like he's not throwing any attacks.
On the bright side, he's going to go to about 300 energy by the end of the battle and load up that energy for next battle. Unfortunately, take that into game 2, but
bank it.
Yeah, really, really good, just good alignment from Jumothy there. Really solid lead win, and then secured that, kept the switch advantage. Knew that he had Licky for the Corsola. Just really well played.
Yeah, so have Gastrodon on Jai's side into the Wigglytuff on Jumothy's side.
And it looks very similar line to the set. He said he wouldn't do it again, and he has indeed done it
Fish
again.
Fish is always wrong. That's what we've learned here.
So we've seen this matchup a few times now. Pretty neutral. We're going to see potentially a shield come out but we've gone for a body slam bait. So we'll see if Jumothy wants to value it, and it does. It does get baited, but again, we'll be getting the icy wind off. So fair trade-off, I think, if you're on the side of Jumothy here.
Yeah, and so we see that Jai has left the course lot on the bench this time. So this double normal strategy that Jumothy has gone back to, it's not going to be as effective this time. The Gastrodon is now going to fire off that water pulse, and Jumothy doesn't want to spend that second shield this early on, so it's going to just let that go.
No, it just survives the move. It's got to move bank, so we're going to see potentially a switch out here, or immediately going to have to throw the second Swift.
And well, I think we were in this situation before, and the Swift was enough. I think that does KO.
It does KO. So immediately going to throw the next one, assuming that it won't be the Forrester's coming in. So this body slam damage is going to be really good. Thankfully, it wasn't the Corsola.
Okay, so throwing the Swift just before that Sucker Punch damage can go through. So not the Icy Wind, interestingly. That would have been a little bit better to throw against it. And now the Sucker Punch will come through.
Yeah, a decent spot here. You can come in with the rollouts. They're going to do a lot of damage here. And great selection for Jumothy. You can see in the back line now.
Look at that back line.
The Empoleon is there to wall off this Ninetale, so really favourable position. He has gone for the switch out to catch the move, knowing that Brave Bird is going to hurt, though, and it has to be thrown because Jai is now realising this. Yeah, nothing else can hit this quite as hard. So
and that's going to go through unshielded. So that's a bit of a lucky break to Jai now. I think maybe a misread from Jumothy on what is in the back, because if Jai had told him, hey, I've got Ninetales in the back, then he would not have brought that Empoleon out. He would have saved that as long as he could until that Ninetales came out on the field.
Exactly right. It's got a shield. There's one shield around this side, but does he decide to just roll it down and just go with the energy advantage on the right? He has decided to shield, just put more pressure on. He has switched to the Ninetales immediately. Going to try to outpace and win maybe a CMP tie here to get rid of this Empoleon straight away.
And it's still going to be tough for Jai because you can see how much damage the Metal Sounds are doing and versus how little damage the Powder Snows are doing. Yeah. Double resisted versus double super effective. And so now the Licky Licky is going to come back out. It's going to get hit by a Weather Ball. I didn't see how much energy the Ninetales had, but I don't think it's going to have enough to be able to take that Licky Licky out.
It's not enough, and we're at back-to-back body slams on Jai's side. He has gone for the Shadow Ball here, so hoping one's going to KO and then hopefully be able to get to a body slam to finish off the Moltres.
Yeah, so this is a tough break for Jai. Now the body slam. Well, I'm not even needing the body slam, just getting the rollout, and that's going to get it up to almost another body slam as well. One will be enough to take out this Galarian Moltres, and Jumothy is going to take a second battle and is one win away from back-to-back regional championships.
Counter that directly.
Oh, we'll see. It's a bold play, but if it pays off, it'll pay off in dividends. Let's see. It is the Ninetales into the Empoleon. Oh, no. Jumothy is on fire at the moment, and that Ninetales is going to get straight out of there. The Gastrodon is going to come in and is going to be faced by the Wigglytuff, which is going to want to maintain that alignment as much as it can.
Absolutely, and the alignment is the absolute key here. There's, the first shield's come up now. The Water Pulse this time correctly shielded. He's going to go, as we've seen a few times, he's going to go all the way up to the two Swifts, and he's going to throw right as he gets to two. It might be a CMP tie with the body slam here, but he has to throw the Ice Wind on this occasion, though. So deviating from his usual strategy, trying to debuff, and then hope maybe if the body slam Water Pulse comes through, it can survive it more comfortably.
Yeah, and so the shield will go up on Jai's side, and of course Jai has to do this. This is the series on the line. This is the championship on the line. Has to use that shield, or it is just all over. The Water Pulse is going to not take out the Wigglytuff, thanks in most part to that Icy Wind damage. Now, the Swift is going to come out. It's going to get to another Swift because of that Icy Wind debuff.
Absolutely, and he's going to be forcing a shield here, but the backline matchup isn't too bad for, this is not a bad scenario. It comes in, it's got this energy, it's got play into both things remaining. So Empoleon with a shield advantage here is going to be really hard to manage.
Yeah, for sure. So that shield absolutely will come in handy, but at least for Jai, the biggest danger is over in the Ninetales versus Empoleon matchup. He doesn't have to deal with that as much anymore. It's going to have to be Gastrodon and Ninetales against Licky, and then that Galarian Moltres into the Empoleon in the back.
Absolutely, and with that shield advantage and the not having the capability to, there's no charge moves here to put pressure on this Empoleon at all. Everything is resisted.
Yeah,
completely everything. So it's rolling on the fast move pressure here, but it's just not. I just can't see a way out here. Is there a way out for Jai here?
Oh, look, it's going to be really, really tough because the Galarian Moltres is going to take a fair bit of chip damage from these body slams, and then the Empoleon should be able to come in and finish the job. The Empoleon is on almost full health, and so a Brave Bird isn't going to be enough. We'll see if this Hydro Cannon puts it away or whether there is still some play left for the Galarian Moltres, but I'm thinking the Galarian Moltres is so close to being off the field. It does survive, and we do get a Brave Bird coming out, but we've got the shield still on Jumothy's side. He's been keeping it all this time.
The shield is right there. He required both shields to just flip that alignment, but it does save him there. And the Hydro Cannon is going to come through. He's going to try to go for the Dazzling Gleam. He has got there.
Oh, and this is going to be too little too late. How poetic. Jai's favorite Pokemon is the last hope that he has, and it is not enough. The Empoleon is going to secure that win for Jumothy. Jumothy is going to sweep the ultimate grand final and become a back-to-back regional champion. Well done to Jumothy.
And just like that, Jumothy becomes a 2-time champion. Literally 2 weeks before Sydney, if you go back 14 days, he had never won a championship because Auckland was on the Sunday and then Sydney was on a Saturday. So like literally in a 14-day period. I'm pretty confident that no one has ever won 2 tournaments back-to-back in that short a time span. Really impressive stuff from Jumothy and clearly at the top of his game, carrying on that Yakko torch, which I believe that one of Yakko's wins, he actually beat Jumothy along the way as well back in 2024. So just really cool storylines all around. But with that said, you can see that he is all the way at the top of the Oceanic leaderboard. He was actually at the top of the leaderboard before Sydney, so he's really just defending the title at this point, which is really impressive. And I really look forward to seeing what Jumothy does next at the Melbourne Regional Championships. Where I don't know that he's playing, but I feel like he's probably going to try and play. So with that said, thank you all for watching, and thank you to all of my patrons and YouTube supporters as well. I really do appreciate everyone for supporting this sort of content. If you do like this video, let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one. And I guess I will see you in the next one. Not sure what it was going to be, but we'll all find out together. Bye. Oh, and presumably we'll have Jumothy on the G'day Battlers podcast as well, so stay tuned for that. Bye.